Hi, this is Daniel Gutierrez. I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Gerald O'Donnell. Internationally renowned Gerald O'Donnell is a former Western Intelligence Agency remote viewer and founder of the Academy of Remote Viewing and Remote Influencing, and a visionary in the mind consciousness research. The Academy has been teaching remote viewing techniques since 1997 online and was the first institute to teach students how to reach the deep theta brain level in order to receive information from the universal collective mind. In 2002, the Remote Influence Advanced course was introduced, which allows students to reach with full consciousness the deep delta brain levels. It has also helped students learn how to influence reality through awareness of the source and mind of all. Gerald's courses are highly transformative and bring one's consciousness into a level of oneness for all. Today you will discover what remote viewing and remote influencing are, the new key to successful reality influencing, why old manifesting rules no longer work, and how to connect to the center of all. Gerald, thank you for joining us and welcome to the call.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being in that call.
Oh, you bet. Well, Gerald, would you take 2 or 3 minutes and share with us what you believe to be the major turning points that have allowed you to manifest your current level of success?
As far as teaching per se, this was a long process. I mean, this is something that I started when I was very young, and I was very interested, and then I had many experiences, revelations, and I was applying this, and then, as you can tell, I went into some very technologically oriented type of mind development. I understood certain things because I also have a scientific background that propels me into different levels of understanding how the whole mind, by the whole mind, I don't mean only the human mind, but I mean the consciousness of humanity and much beyond operates. And then I applied certain principles because we were realizing, for instance, that people that were doing a very effective remote viewing usually will be operating on a level of brain waves, and I'm insisting on that brain waves that were close to sleep, close to delta. So my understanding was that since that was the case, there was something about delta, meaning when you're asleep where you connect to a level that bridges space and time. It's not that your mind travels, it's basically that you bring the reality of other points that are in perception, in a different level of what we think is time and space to your awareness, and then you can then decode this and read it. So at that point on, we investigated very forcefully and deeply that level of deep theta, and then we started putting out protocols that would allow people easily those levels, because usually when you get to these levels, you have a tendency to fall asleep because you're right at the border of sleep. So you have to maintain your awareness consciously at that level, and then as you start maintaining that level of awareness at that level, you are able to access information for what I consider to be the universal mind, or the mind of mankind.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm very excited about having you on our call today because I've done hundreds of interviews, Gerald, and this is the first time I've got a chance to talk to someone that really is an expert in this area. So just for the listeners, so we can get a really clear idea, would you define what remote viewing is?
It's a misnomer. Total misnomer. Remote viewing is the name that was coined in the United States for the act of being able to, so to speak, quote unquote, view a different location by using the power of mind alone. Okay? Psychics would call this, psychic viewing or psychic clairaudience. And okay, nevertheless, the protocols were totally different here. And for some reason, they stayed with this name viewing. I like sensing better because it doesn't matter how you sense it. Some people are extremely visual and then they will see it visually. And I teach people how to become visual. If they want to be visual, they will see it visually. The information comes in as a package, a packet, as a matter of fact, of information. And then your brain, your level of mind, decodes this in the way by which you would understand it most. And everybody is different.
Wow. I love that. So if remote viewing is remote sensing, then what is remote influencing?
Okay, now remote influencing is what we do all day long. Man was created in the image of God, which means man is born with the ability to create. But it's not creating at the level of God, it's co-creating. In other words, there are certain global rules that the Creator has set up for this creation. For instance, you cannot suddenly decide to fly off to another planet, or go through walls or whatever, because that's the rule right now. But we have enough free will in choosing paths to make us creators. And the way by which we create is by the same power that the one, the creator, the one creator, the ultimate creator, by the same path that the one create, which is the power of thought, intelligence, pure intelligence and pure thought. So thought is created. Thought is a vibration in the ether that then vibrates sympathetically the material world. Of course not. Thought is what creates the material world. Everything is thought. There are levels of perception that we don't see because our brain does not allow us to see it. But if we were to take our brain off, and I've had that experience, you would realize that we are only living as points of consciousness, vibrating in an infinite ocean of golden particles that are vibrating. And this is who we are. And each point of consciousness has a certain frequency location. So I have a certain frequency location. You have a certain frequency location. That ocean does not have space and time as we understand it. It's just different levels of frequency. It's like a matrix. And you're inside that frequency location, and then your brain decodes certain codes that are sent by that level and gives you this impression of being in a room or walking on a path or driving a car or taking an airplane or whatever. But that's how the material world is created. But in real reality, you see the world across you is made out of pure light. You could cross it. There is nothing that could block you from crossing, if not for the fact that there is a program made by the original creator that says, if you have a wall, you don't cross it. If you take a hammer and you hit your foot, it's going to hurt.
That's amazing. So you say so influencing is co-creating? I just want to make sure I have that correct.
Exactly. So influencing, in reality, you're doing exactly what you're doing all day long. You must have met people all day long that are negative, and then they wonder how come, all these bad things are happening, and people that are very optimistic and positive, and then great things happen to them. Or people that believe in the healing very strongly, even if it's within the medical establishment. And I'm going far beyond the idea of placebo. They go and then they believe in the doctor, they believe in a certain treatment. And some of those treatments are really, as a matter of fact, poisonous, but they can overcome the poison because they believe so much that this will help them that the treatment works excellently well for them. It's the power of belief, it's the power of thought that then creates the reality that will then be applied to that particular individual. If you don't have faith, that's the secret of faith. If you don't have faith and you're always doubting, you will create the opposite. That's what they call placebo, but they don't understand what it is anyway.
Yeah, so it's not true or any less true. It's just kind of where you're at and where your beliefs are at, where your faith is at. The same person that believes they can heal could also believe they could not heal. They're both correct.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if there is a sin, by a sin, I mean an incorrect way of handling situation. It's what a lot of doctors do lately for legal reasons in this country, which is to go to a patient, tell them, most probably you will, so to speak, die or this won't work. They're programming the patient. The patient refuses that programming and says, no, I know that I will be healed. I'm not listening to this. He will be healed. But if he falls into that particular programming, most probably if they tell him you have 3 months to live, he will live 3 months.
That's amazing. And we do hear about that all the time, where someone beats the odds and lives forever, and the one that says you're going to die tomorrow, they die.
Yeah, but I guarantee you that if every single doctor that hears me, I don't know how many doctors are hearing me now, a surgeon from Harvard Medical School, gave placebo, pure placebo, to somebody who had cancer, and he made up this fake newspaper clipping saying that this is revolutionary for pancreatic cancer, and there was nothing there. And the man just totally healed because he was sure that this was the medical discovery of the day. And then finally, but he did use a code for this placebo. There was a code of a real medicine that was being tried in Europe. When the man finally read that this was not working, he had his cancer totally regressed. The moment he lost the faith, he had a relapse and then passed away. So it's basically your belief that's at the core of everything. So if doctors were to give you a medicine and tell you, even if they don't themselves are not sure it's going to work, but they said you're 100% going to be healed in 6 months, you will see a revolution in medicine. Because right now it's, I wouldn't say primitive, but it does not take into account the relationship between mind and matter. Besides epigenetics, you have certain fields that do that.
So let me ask you something, Joe. This is all very interesting, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation. The world is in turmoil. Can you help us understand why?
Yeah, absolutely. The world has always been in turmoil, my friend. And the one that's questioning its head is the creator. Going, oops, what's going on again? No, I'll be serious now. There are phases in creation. And in order for the one being, in reality, it's not even a being. It's only a being when it starts reflecting itself to a dream that we call creation. Then it becomes somehow aware of itself. You can say that the nondescript all becomes God because he becomes aware of itself, because he is reflecting his own dream onto a support, a creational support given by the holographic reality, given by nature, given by us, and so on and so forth. So when the one creates the many by dreaming us, because that's how we exist, we are being dreamed by the creator into reality, and keeps that dream up within his own mind, and through the illusion of biology and material world, because we all have a little bubble reality that we think is the universe, but in the reality it's our universe. All these universe intersect so they make sense. In other words, when I go on the street and somebody else goes on the same street, we coordinate our realities. So when the one is dreaming, the first level of the one, it's like a heart or a lung. It expands. And the more it expands, if you consider the one being totally at the center of it, the point, it's like a dot. It's a non-dimensional dot. At that level, there's no dimension. Starting to create dimensions, going from 2 dimensions, 3, 4, 5,
right.
Creating all these dimensions, or a brain if you want. On the outer layer, you will find humans. Because before you get to the humans, you have to create what we call the subconscious levels that will create our reality. And then some people call the angels. These are programs that allow, and they're beings, they're fully alive, that allow for our reality to be projected to us, so we have a sense of total separation from each other. And then we can interact as if we were to be in a movie and talking to each other, not realizing that we are but a facet of a diamond. A diamond is one, but the facets are speaking to each other and reflecting each other through the diamond. So at the core of the diamond, you have the one, and the one is expanding the diamond as far as it can, to the point where the separation right now between the individual realities is so high that we have totally disconnected in perception from our core understanding that we are really originating from the source. No matter how many times you're going to tell people you originate from the same, call it creator, God, they will say, thank you very much, but they're not integrating that reality. Or no matter how much you tell them, we are all one human family, supposedly there was an original man. It's not a human being in flesh. It's an original consciousness that created man, and all the humans originate from that. No matter how many times you said that, it was very interesting. Nevertheless, I live here, you live there. I'm in my position, I'm in your position. My program says that my program is better than your program. My God is stronger and smarter than your God, and my country is better than your country, and so on. I mean, we've gone to levels of disassociation and dysfunctionality that are right now, because of the tools that we possess, are putting us into a great state of danger.
I love what you just said. I guess, in trying to understand it and breaking it down for our listeners, you started with the dot. The dot is multidimensional, even if we can't see it that way. And so we understand 2-dimension, which is flat, 3-dimensional, which is, if you look at our TVs today are becoming 3D. But we're beyond that now, 4D, 5D, right? The different dimensions of that understanding. And the world then is stuck maybe in a dimension that no longer works for us anymore?
It works for us. It works for everybody, but there comes a point, because we are at the periphery, we are on the cortex of the brain. If you were to consider the brain of God, but there is no brain, but the mind of God, we are on the cortex periphery of the brain. The subconscious, which is creating all this ability to function, is not within our awareness. It's subconscious to us. These are all different levels superimposed upon each other that give us this magnificent ability to believe that we are in creation, to walk in this magnificent nature, to enjoy the fruits of this nature. The Creator wants the creature, who are all itself at that level, itself, to enjoy the creation, to better this creation, and to have the quality, the unique quality of the Creator, which we all call this unconditional love. But in reality, what it is, it's gifting of yourself naturally and enjoying only the act of gifting. You're not here to receive anything. The Creator does not need anything from us. He only wants to gift of himself the life force and the ability to sustain ourselves and the information that we need as a creation so that we flourish, we go to higher levels. Basically, he's creating little clones of himself with qualities that are really godly, that we then also feel that they have to give of themselves, share with others, bring new knowledge, bring new technologies, expand the environment in a beautiful way, and enjoy life. There is no desire by the Creator to have us suffer. That doesn't come from the Creator. That comes from us, from our levels, or from very low level of what you could call programs in the subconscious, what I call sub-realms, who have lost it too, are also disconnected. And they are in the darkness. This is what we call the dark side. They live in this dark side because they've gotten disconnected from the enlightenment of knowing who they are. They've forgotten that. And they're stuck in their programs. So the Creator has done this and wants us to go back to this. Now, this has gone as far as it can, if you want, as the cosmic egg of creation has expanded as far as it can, because if it does it more than that, the periphery of that egg will implode literally. It won't be able, because the Creator will have a problem connecting to us, which is the case right now, because there are a lot of dark forces coming from ourselves. They're inside the subspace. They're not only created in this reality, because thought exists for eternity. As long as a creation exists, it stays there. So all this accumulation of dark thoughts and separative thoughts and then the elitist thoughts and so on and so forth are staying there, and they form like an amalgam of thought forms, if you want, that are coming here trying to block us from going back to the Creator, because in their perception, they think that they will disappear because there's no more role to play anymore if this happens. Do you understand?
Wow. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in understanding what you just said, and wow, you just said a lot, and it's so fascinating to me. Can you explain why then the old rules of manifesting that we've learned over the last decade don't work for us anymore?
Exactly. Because, I get my own downloads, as I call them, because they don't come into word by word. These are downloads that come in more like a digital format, and then they get decoded at my level, and I write articles. But there are moments where I'm totally overtaken by very, very high levels close to the one. And at that point, I lose my ability to talk. Until he doesn't come back, I don't talk. And then suddenly words come out. I don't even know what I'm saying. I have to record it. Literally, I'm not there. And then when this is over, I listen. From the messages I get from this very high level, the decision has been made that this is the time of the shift. What everybody talks about, the great shift. But the great shift is a great shift from within the one, in order to allow for the expansion of the one into the many, which was very experimental. It has gone as experimental as it can go. It cannot go further than that, because it would mean the end of all creation, not only this creation. The whole structure will collapse. It needs now to compress back its heart, its lung, its pulse back to itself and bring the children back to itself. So before, the focus of the children and of the one, you understand, was looking outward. We're always looking outward. We're not looking inward in the kingdom within towards our connection that we have to the one. We're always looking for solutions outward. Right now, we have to concentrate, focus ourselves within, because we carry this spark of pure divinity in ourselves. Everyone does. Mm-hmm. Even the darkest of dark has it. It's there. It may be covered up, but it's there. So we have to focus back and put into that spark of divinity. You can't become the one. That's not the point. You will align it just by focusing only on that. You will align to that origin of yourself, because that's who you really are on a higher level. And as you align, and your whole vibration and thought process align automatically, because you're focusing on it, because your direction of thought is up on that, you will become alike the Creator. Therefore, you will then start sharing gladly, happily with everybody else. This is a solution to all the problems we're having right now. You will never kill in the name of a Creator. You will never hoard money or boats or whatever you did, because that's not the way the Creator operates. The Creator has to do with circuitry. When you put a computer, imagine that the Creator is the electricity that goes into the computer. Yes, you have little capacitors that keep for a little while certain energy, but for a particular purpose, but then they release it. If you want to keep it and keep it and keep it, you're going to blow the circuitry. So the whole idea is for this life force to circulate all over the apparatus that we call a computer. Now, this is a cosmic computer, but even our own computer. And then the computer works perfectly well.
You know, I love what you just said, and the analogy of the circuitry and God's intentionality or intentionality of giving. However, in this physical realm that most of us are living in right now, we have anxiety, lack of energy, fear. How do we overcome these?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. It might sound a little revolutionary. I'm not a biblical scholar, but I'm very much aware of a lot of parts of ancient writing. The so-called flood that the Bible calls is happening now. It's not a flood of water, it's a flood of consciousness. If you read very well, what happens is that the one decides, okay, this has gone as far as it can because the so-called evil of man has gone as far as it can. It's not working out anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the waters, meaning the consciousness from the underworld, they will go up. And I will open the waters from the upper world, which are loving, and they will go down. Because right now I've caused a separation between, if you call the good side and the evil side, between the aware side, highly aware side, and the non-aware side. But they are one. I cannot separate them. So for a while you have this merging of waters. It's a little bit like if you remember the Fukushima event, you saw dark black waters coming in at this tsunami. These are waters coming from the underworld. But they have all a purpose because they exist, but they have to be cleansed. They have to come up to the surface. They're all within us because what we see on the outside is really what's happening on the inside. They're all within us. This is a very difficult process, extremely difficult because the totality of the mind of the one is affecting a cleansing and allowing all the membranes, all the universe. That's why you have apparition of different beings from different universes. That's not because they're meant to do this, because the universes are starting to bleed into each other so that we recreate the harmony of the one and the understanding at all levels, that we are all one. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're perceptually where good or where bad, because, of course, this is very hard to define. All of this comes back to the one, and then we're waiting for a dry structure, something solid, to be recreated again, because as we go through our days, and I'm sure you have experienced that, and I know a lot of people around me, and if you don't experience, you see people around you. Some morning, they're lovely and they're happy and they're balanced. They get up the next day and they're like totally wacko. They don't even know what's happened, or they're depressed or they're angry and they don't even know why they're angry. It's very hard to keep your balance. And what we teach in our course is basically we give you the tool to be connected to the one. And then this is why they used to call it the rock of salvation, because that's the only structure that never can be touched, because it cannot be more than one. It's your original dot. So when you connect it to that, it doesn't matter what and when. You will stay focused on that. And the more you connect to that, the more you will align to that, the more power you will get. Not only will you get power, you will become like the one, which means that you will transform your total being. Your biology transforms, because we were not meant to die so young in reality. If you look at the old Bible, people used to live very, very old because they were close.
Yeah, 130, 140. Yeah.
140, 900.
Yeah, 900, that's right.
But that's what, because they were right at close to the one. It was the beginning of the creation. And then as the creation got further and further from the notion of the one, they started losing years until the Middle Ages, when they were totally disconnected. It was, the Dark Ages. A man that was 40 years old was already considered to be an old man. And this is not about medicine or taking some special pill, stem cells, nothing to do, because all this is already built in your DNA. When you focus onto the one, your DNA has all the programs it needs to, first of all, we know that, to correct itself when it's damaged, but also to rejuvenate itself and reprogram itself. You don't have to take stem cells. This is already programmed. We came with that program from birth. The Creator created us. We are the final creation, the most important creation, because we are the parts that can literally become, I wouldn't say a clone, but almost a clone of the Creator. Of course, we're not going to become totality of the one, because we would lose our individuality, but we get close to levels where we still feel we are the one, and at the same time we keep our individuality. It's magnificent. That's why they say that mankind is superior to the angels, because the angels don't do that.
Wow, that's amazing. Again, I'm just so fascinated by this conversation. So you have been talking about this negative energy that exists. What techniques do you have, or how do we shield ourselves from that?
I was interviewed by a radio station, and then a lady came on and then she asked, Gerald, I'm doing meditation, and those dark, crazy thoughts appear out of nowhere in the middle of my meditation. And since I know the power of thought, I don't know how to get rid of them. It's getting worse and it's becoming a nightmare. And I said, welcome to the club. I said, that's exactly what, Jesus experienced when he was, so to speak, quote unquote, tempted by the adversary. So, in fact, what is really happening is that if I tell you don't think of the color red, of course you're going to think of the color red, because what you're afraid of is what is going to appear. The importance is to understand that there is a difference between your thought at your consciousness point, your real thought, your desire, and then infiltrations that are coming from other levels that are more connected to ego, to darkness, more connected to the fear of losing the ego into the divine, because they think that if they go into the divine, they will lose their sense of individuality. It's like if you ask people, start sharing in a corporation your money with everybody else, say, well, oh my God, we'll die here because there's not going to be enough for me and there's not going to be enough for this. And then even though, as you know, now it's almost a joke because the whole economy is like the way you operate this economy is by adding zeros on an electronic entry. It's like there's nothing there. Like it's an economy of zeros. So, when you start seeing that infiltration, so to speak, of the dark thoughts, just laugh at them, But you have to be aware that this is not you thinking. And it is you, but it's coming from the general you, which is because all the membranes are falling apart. It can be, parts of the global consciousness of mankind has been accumulating thoughts of that sort for thousands of years. So it's coming through you, and it's trying to have its lack act because it's trying to have its lack power because it lives based on fear and separation. It's trying to instill fear in you and instill in you the belief that you can be disconnected from the source. And it does a good job. I always laugh because they have systems that are very similar to the system that hackers use in computers. They're like Trojan horses. They have a iris. It's exactly the same system, but operates at the level of thought. So let's say you're at some point having this magnificent experience with God, and suddenly that one Trojan horse gets activated, and then you get this horrific view of something, and you go, oh my God.
I love what you just said, though. So you're saying that the technique, I guess, to fight off those bad thoughts that lady was having, kind of an undercurrent of the collective consciousness of her thoughts, is just to say, it's not my higher self. But yeah, it's there, but laugh at it and move on.
Like you look at the cloud, it's a dark cloud that's passing by. You don't have to panic. If you give it fear and energy, then, my God, then you're going to be afraid every single time you see a dark cloud. When you cross the street, you see a truck going by. Well, if you come from the Amazon jungle, you're going to be very afraid of it. But if you're used to it, it's a truck, so you wait. But this is all that's happening. Now, I do agree with you. We're having every single day in an increasingly manner situations all over the world for whatever reasons, and those reasons are irrelevant, whether they're psychopath. By the way, psychopath comes from a Greek word that means a disease of the soul. The psyche in Greek is soul, not the mind.
Ah, interesting.
And pathology does not mean disease, it means suffering. These are souls who have been disconnected. That's what really hell is. These are souls who have been disconnected from the source and have lost their connection, and they don't know how to handle this, and they become part of it, like a grouping of souls put together. And then they try to cause mayhem because that's what they think. Their force comes in absorbing more souls and bringing more quantity of consciousness to their grouping. It's not going to work. I mean, I'm not going to say the one is the boss, but the one is the only reality anyway. So he's bringing all these back, and then they will also be shown the beauty of reconnection. And this is when we talk about the dead becoming alive again. Those dead souls are going to be the gift of life again. And if they take it, it's fine. If they don't take it, then there's nothing you can do. But they are also to be gifted that gift of life and to be brought back.
Gerald, this conversation is so interesting. I absolutely just am so glad that we have the honor of speaking to you about all this. We have a few minutes left today. Can you teach us how we connect to the center of it all?
Okay. The whole course has been focused from the beginning. When we started, we first did a remote viewing course. This is to open yourself up to your inner self, to go into your inner kingdom. You're on the border of sleep. In reality, when you sleep, you go into a mini death every night. Your soul goes up. It's not in your body. Your biology is kept vibrating by the biological consciousness, but your soul is leaving the body and it's doing work. It's really reconnecting to its higher soul, and there's work being done while you're sleeping. We're not aware of it because it's covered up by dreams. It's covered up by this perception that we're still in the body. We're not in the body. It's very important when you do our training that you then go into what I call the delta level, which is the level of where usually you would be asleep, but now you become aware of your soul. You can even hear yourself snore, as a matter of fact. It's an interesting thing.
Yep.
Even if you don't snore, you've had this experience, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not a big snorer, for some reason, it's like God has a sense of humor. He's saying, look, you think you're sleeping, but you're still aware. So at that point, you're accessing your soul, at least your lower soul, and then you start traveling, and then you start connecting to your higher self. And from that point on, you ask to connect to the source of it all. And there's another thing that we teach also is to use, when there's too much darkness, too much blackness around, use the bypass of nature. Nature cannot be contaminated by the thought of man. It's impossible. We can destroy nature in perception like we're doing right now, by all the things we're doing and disrespect it, because nature is God manifested online in front of us all the time. It's kept vibrating.
I love that. Nature is God manifested in the now.
In the now, alive. Nature is alive,
awesome.
all of it. It's God in front of you. That's why we call it the feminine, because until now it has not been taking an active role in trying to create. It's a support mechanism, but it is higher. The level of coordination that's required on the thought level to manifest all of nature is by far higher than the level of coordination that's required to manifest a biology in a human being. It's unbelievable what happens at the level of nature. That level cannot be contaminated. If you connect, and we teach that too, you connect to the level of nature, and then you ask a tree, you know who to ask, please connect me to the highest level that my soul can connect, as close as possible to source. You don't have to give it a name, just to source. And you will be surprised what you get.
Wow.
You're going to be touching the rock. The old holy of holies, you're going to be touching that rock. And that rock cannot have darkness coming to it. It's impossible. It cannot be 2. It cannot be 3. It cannot be 4. You start aligning it to it. And all the rest, you start having a different view of things. You have no fear of anything. And then your biology gets healed. Of course, your life gets healed, and you're protected. This is going to sound maybe a little negative, but it's not negative. Because of the chaos that's going on in the world right now, you need protection. And the one is offering protection to all of his children, no exception to that. But the only thing he's asking is he doesn't want to be worshipped. Of course not. He doesn't need to be told he's the King of Kings. He knows that. He wants to be loved. There's a big difference.
Yeah. I almost feel like jumping up and down and saying, amen.
Love is the glue of creation. Not fear,
yes,
not worship.
I agree.
Love. Then we connect to this, then we will be protected. It's so easy. At the same time, for us, it's somehow difficult. We give you the opening, we allow you to connect to those levels, and then just keep on doing it, and life will be transformed, your family will be transformed, and you will do business in a different way. Because the more you gift, you're going to become like God. The more you're going to receive, you're going to become a conduct to godly energy. In the last message, he said, that's the change. He said, before, until a couple of years ago, I was passive. People that connected to me thought, as a matter of fact, that I wouldn't even think. I was just sitting there in my supposed throne, and it wasn't doing anything. And that was on purpose, so that I allow as much free will to my children to express themselves. But right now, as I need to bring back creation back to a path that's at least workable and then eventually will flourish, I'm not passive anymore. So right now, you're going to be dancing with me. It's a dance between me and the Creator. If you dance with the Creator will dance with you. If you are trying to manifest something that helps your fellow human beings, that helps creation, you're going to get the ultimate help. There's no dimension to that help. It's beyond the beyond the beyond the beyond. If you don't, then you will operate within cause and effect. That's the big change.
Wow. Gerald, I'm curious about what's possible for people that are listening here today, and you and I were discussing this earlier. Can you take a few minutes and share some of the amazing stories or turnarounds you've seen from people who have applied what you teach?
Sure. I have tons of them. I'll just share a couple. Okay. He's a friend of mine, as a matter of fact. He took the course, and then I'll just read you what he said. What happened was truly amazing. I fell backward and landed on a concrete step on my left arm. The bone in my arm snapped immediately in half, right above my elbow. My elbow twisted and it was pointing towards my stomach, and the back of my hand hit myself in the face. My arm was completely broken and mangled. When I got to the hospital, they gave me an IV and a painkiller. The painkiller made me groggy, and I decided to try to go into Delta and try to manifest a healing. I definitely went into Delta and commanded a healing. And then a doctor came in shortly and took x-rays. They came back in looking kind of perplexed and told me that my arm was not broken. I exclaimed, what? I saw the bone break. The doctor leaned over and whispered to me, we don't know what happened, but your bone isn't broken anymore. He did not know what to say. I went back to work the next morning, and nobody could believe it. I'm so thankful for Gerald, of course, okay? I can tell that this happened to my own son. Something exactly similar to that, on the arm too. And he just got healed immediately. And it happened to another son, you know. It happened to me, as a matter of fact, last week. I had something that fell on my foot. I thought my foot was broken, and then I had pieces of shard of glass deeply embedded in my foot. I took care of the glass that was all over the floor. By the time I looked back at my foot, there was nothing left. I couldn't even see a scar. It was gone.
Wow.
You know, we have this gift of life. We're born with this ability. Let me read you another one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have changed my life. I'm really hooked on the CDs. They've totally transformed me. I'm very happy, embedded in light energy. I feel fit, look maybe 10 years younger. I've healed myself of a chronic, painful back injury I received while skiing in my 20s in the Austrian Alps. This is subsequent arthritis has plagued my life for so long. It's all gone now thanks to your courses. I'm pain-free. Now listen to this. I won the lotto here in Germany 2 weeks ago. I went into a Delta state and asked for guidance on the lotto drawing. Suddenly 6 numbers appeared in my mind. I thank you from all my heart for your wonderful courses. You're indebted student for life. What else? I can give you others.
Amazing. Wow. I'm still thinking about the broken arms. I can't wait for people in a few minutes just to hear how they themselves can participate. As a matter of fact, I get really excited about helping people take control of their life. And goodness gracious, Gerald, I can see there's so much that we can learn from you. And because of that, folks, I've asked Gerald to create a special offer for everyone who's listening. And I want to encourage you all to go to the special right now and experience it for yourself. Simply click on the special offer button that's on this page. And Gerald, now would you just kind of tell us what you have there for us and how they can begin to access this incredible, powerful knowledge that you have for them?
Sure. Well, we give them a concentrated version of it to do most of the things that I've told you, to connect, to be healed, and to basically transform their own selves. They won't be the same after doing this. So they're going to start with the remote viewing course.
Okay.
So on the remote viewing course, first of all, they're going to be trained to go into Deep Theta. That's first training module. It gets you into Alpha and then slowly gets you into Theta and then starts talking about light, the real reality, you know, behind everything. You know, it's the first thing that's created is light. But in reality, we're all made out of light. So if you want to vibrate your biology, you should vibrate it on the level of the light that your biology is. And then you do this exercise either in front of the sun, or if you have a light bulb in front of you, it's good to do it. And then eventually you will see the light, you will perceive it. Now by seeing again, I'm going to say it doesn't have to be like a television, a light bulb going into your head, but you know the light is there, you perceive it strongly. And then the second module teaches you how to use the breathing paradox, because creation operates always in a pulse. It's in and out, and then there is a gap. At all levels, it operates like that. And there's a lot that's done during the gap. Even in the creative realms of the godliness, there is a moment when God projects out creation, you know, and then he goes through the whole circuitry, then he takes back creation, and then takes back information. So it's like information out and projection out, information back in. And based on the information that comes in, there is a new reprojection out, okay? So we make you breathe light through your whole body, as a matter of fact, through your pores, through your bones, and you eventually lose the perception of having a biology. You become what you really are, in fact, which is pure consciousness. You start experiencing what pure consciousness is. As your pure consciousness, you start to travel with your consciousness because you're not even thinking of your body. So you start traveling around with your consciousness. And of course, you can do this remote viewing of not only situations, you know, places, but you can remote view, for instance, your biology. You can remote view and scan people's biology to see if there's anything wrong with them. And I know people are extremely efficient at this. They can sometimes detect things before, you know, the medical establishment is aware of them, because that's very important. So you remote view. You can use that, again, if you're a trader, you can use this for trading, you can use this for the lottery. Plus, I must admit that when he did this, he also very strongly used the influencing part. He saw himself winning so powerfully for a while that became his reality. He brought that reality to him. It's not enough to just remote view in advance, because there are probable futures that you choose from. When you remote view, there is not one future for you. There is a gamut of futures. You decide this is the one I want, then you start energizing it with your thoughts and with your energy, with your desires, and with joy. And in the moment you start doing this, that future manifests, it crystallizes slowly, it comes to you. You understand?
Yes, absolutely. You have a lot of modules here.
Yeah, this is just remote viewing. And then we go to the remote influencing. So we start by explaining to you the whole mechanism of creation, how it operates, the way creation and reality is projected to us. Because if you don't understand that, you won't understand how easy it is. You won't understand why your thoughts are really affecting reality. You know, if you don't understand why, operating an airplane and pushing certain buttons make the airplane fly, you're not going to be a good pilot. You have to understand the mechanism. We really do. And at the moment we understand the mechanism, we go, wow, that of course my thoughts are affecting the reality, because reality is really plastic. It's not fixed. It's just light in reality. And my thoughts can affect light because thought came before light. I have the same ability that the creator had. It still has. That's how the creator operates. So we have a module here that gives you a brain entrainment that puts you into Theta. You just listen to it, you will hear the sound waves of ocean, and you go into Theta. And you do this if you want to do work on your own or if you just want to relax. Sometimes you can use it to go to sleep. And then we have Delta brain entrainment that will put you into a level of Delta, and that's used for deeper work. And then again, you can use it also if you want to go to sleep. It's very effective in putting you, or if you have a baby that cries at night, you put this next to the baby and the baby is going to go to sleep, because it brings them into the level of Delta mind. And then we have the audiobook explaining all this, and then we have the book. Of course, we have it as a PDF. We also have it as an audiobook, because the way it's done is it's very important for your subconscious to integrate this reality, because the subconscious level close to you, to your lower self, have forgotten this. They have to remember themselves. And then go, oh, wow, this is what it is. So maybe instead of constantly looking at my character here, maybe I should turn around and also focus on the one and see what's coming from there and send messages back to the one and receive information and so on and so forth. It's a whole turnaround in creation that operates. We're all turning around. Then there is a training session where you experience Delta, you experience your center of energy, and then you start reprogramming your DNA. And then you experience yourself as a new being already, because you felt the changes, and you know that you felt the changes. And then you learn the power of nature, especially the power of connecting through flowers. There's something very special about flowers. We think that they're physical, but in reality, they're ethereal beings that manifest in the physical. There is some people that do even healing through flowers. They all have special vibrations, and they're very, very, very holy. So then you learn the principle of manifestations and how to increase your inner vibrations to manifest. And then we go on another module already. Now we start climbing to the higher mind, meaning we start connecting to the godliness. And you start experiencing what is called the inner sun. In some religion, they call it the sun, S-O-N. You start experiencing that level, literally experiencing it. And as you start experiencing it, you're taught to use that level to create a shield of protection against any negative energy and thought intrusion, because you keep on focusing on it and you create a certain structure around you, whereby thoughts that do not belong to your own consciousness, to your own point of consciousness, have no place in being in your environment. And that's very important right now.
Mm-hmm.
Shielding part. And then, of course, then we go even higher and we start connecting to the one, the Father. And then you start merging with the whole universe. And then we use the portal of nature and all trees, as I told you, to connect, to help the connection. And then you're reborn into a new reality, which is the original light. You just go there and you become reborn into that. And then you're a co-creator. And then you're on your own.
And then you're on your own. So, Gerald, these are incredible. I'm so excited about this. I really love what you said about flowers. I have an affinity for flowers. I take pictures all the time, and I used to paint them. For some reason, just drawn to them. And the way you explained it makes a lot of sense. They're an expression of divine love and divine presence. What are some of the benefits that people will get over time or right away for applying these incredible CDs and knowledge?
First of all, it will transform them, so they will operate from a different level of perception. So they won't operate out of fear, but they will operate out of love and the desire to give of themselves, and they'll be much happier, because when you gift a lot, you receive back a lot. Let's say two people in a relationship always say, give me on each side. Usually the relationship ends up in a lot of stress. If they all focus on the other, all they want is to give to the other, of course, then you get even more than you will be asking, but it's given in such a way that you create joy around you. That's what joy does. So, first of all, you will operate from that level at all levels, whether it's professionally, whether in your personal life, whether it's in regards to your relationship to your spiritual side, and you will see the preciousness in every single being, whether it's a human or an animal or parts of nature. I mean, this is transformative for the whole world. This is the original intent of the Creator. This is how we should operate. All the messages that we have received until now, we're all saying the true message, or the core of the message, is only saying that. What man has done as an interpretation, that's man's interpretation of it, but there's nothing else. It's very simple. The simpler it is, the more truth there is to it. We don't need to carry special machines. We were born with all the tools we need.
I agree with that. Everything is within us.
Absolutely. So as far as manifestation, the power of manifestation right now, and because of the conditions that have been decided upon by the higher realms, this is the way you'll manifest. This is the way you'll manifest incredible things. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're an inventor, or you work in a certain field, you have knowledge about a certain field, and they're using some old technology that's not really working well, or maybe polluting the world, or it's not something that you want. All you need to do is stay connected to that focus to the Creator. Ask for the information to be downloaded, because it's already there, the information, to be downloaded to you, and I guarantee you will get that information. If you're a politician, you need guidance. Get the guidance from that level. You get your inner guidance. We need to be guided by the higher, much higher, wiser parts of ourselves that are connected to the center. And that goes to everything in life.
I just can't thank you enough. And rich information, and such a tool you are for Source to bring down this information that we so badly need in this time in our world. Gerald, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with everyone before we go?
Yes, my thought is that really, if you only knew how natural that is and how unnatural what we are doing right now is to us, that's why we feel uncomfortable. This is natural, easy way we were born to operate with. This is the way children operate towards their parents and parents towards their children. This is what we came into this world as. And you can live like a child for the rest of your life with this cocoon of love all around you and this certainty that everything will be okay, and not having to worry that the world will collapse upon you or that you'll be attacked. That won't happen. Just do this little shift. It's a very little shift, but it's a gigantic shift. It's a quantum shift for all of mankind. And it has to be done now. We would all know why. I don't even have to tell you.
Yes. Thank you, Gerald. Folks, click on the special offer button that's on this page. Thank you so very much for sharing with us today, Gerald. I appreciate you, and I look forward to our next call together.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.